Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this hybrid meeting of the Civic Licensing Committee. I would remind all attendees that this meeting is being recorded and webcast live on the Council's YouTube channel. I would remind all remote attendees to mute their microphones when not speaking, unless they wish to speak, and they should do so by raising their hands remotely. Can I also remind remote members attending hybrid meetings where quasi-judicial matters are being considered, they will not be permitted to participate by audio only and must have their video camera switched on at all times. Thank you. We'll begin with item 1, apologies for absence.
Thank you, Convener. We have apologies for Councillor Melville and Councillor Whiteside.
Item 2, declarations of interest and statements of transparency. Are there any? Councillor Stewart.
Just the usual statement of transparency, Convener, in that I'm a holder of a taxi operator and driver's licence. There's nothing on the agenda that I feel I need to leave the meeting for on this occasion.
Thank you very much. Takes us then to item 3, minutes of the previous meeting. Can we agree these as a true record? Thank you. Item 4, exclusion of public and press. The committee are asked to note that the public and press will be excluded from the meeting during consideration of item 11, so as to avoid disclosing confidential information in terms of section 50A brackets 2 and brackets 3 brackets B of the Local Government Scotland Act 1973. Thank you. Moves us on to item 5, delegated approvals. These are for noting only. Do we agree to note these approvals? Agreed. On now to item 6, review of fees. Again, this is the review of fees stemming from a full council meeting where a decision was taken to increase fees by a percentage. Are there any questions? Yes, we have Councillor Dunno.
Thanks, Convener. The question that I have is actually on page 15. It's regarding the public entertainment licences. I get an awful lot of correspondence from people not sure when they're having events what licence they should be applying for, and then I have to go to the licensing officer to get advice and to see if they have the right licence. Also, I've been approached about a buskers, because buskers don't have to have a licence for entertainment on the street. But obviously they would need a licence if they're selling their DVDs, etc. I just wondered if we could get this whole section on page 15, if we could get that sort of simplified or something, because it seems very technical. People also don't know if they have an event, how many people are actually going to turn up, because, you know, it says like capacity of the venue 200. Well, what if 250 people turn up? I just feel that the whole section of this is very confusing. And I think sometime if we could maybe sit down and look at this to see if we could get this tightened up and make it a bit more simplified for the general public. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Durno. I think on the second part of the question, if the capacity was 200, then I don't think he'd be permitted to have 250. Yeah. But certainly on the guidance, that's certainly, I don't see any reason that couldn't be looked at, and we can take that up with officers.
That would be great. Thank you, Convener.
Thank you. Any other questions on the review of fees? Any comments? No? Okay, we will then move to the, when I get my page, to the recommendations, which are to approve the revised fee structure contained at Appendix 1 and 2, agree an implementation date of the 8th of April 2005. Do we agree? Agreed. Thank you. That takes us to item 7, a material change of circumstances, page 17 in your reports. And we have Ken Glass, who will be talking to this report. Hello, Mr. Glass.
Good morning, Mr. Convener, Your Honours. I attend this morning, along with my client, Lady Una Ivory. This application, and I suspect you don't get many of these, relates to the statutory restriction on successive applications under the Civic Government Scotland Act. In general terms, in terms of Schedule 1 of the 1982 Act in paragraph 6, where an application is refused, then in general terms the committee should not consider a further application for a period of 1 year. There is, however, an exception to that, and that is where there has been a material change of circumstances. And it's my submission here that there has been a material change of circumstances, and I'll try and take you through that. The application here for permission to relodge within the 1 year period relates to 3 licence applications which were determined by a committee on the 14th of November of last year. They relate to 3 applications for secondary lettings for 3 cottages, Croft End, Clay Pots and Clover Cottages at Glen Isla. These have been let as holiday cottages for a number of years, some of them for quite a number of years, and of course now fall within the short-term let regime which was recently brought in. The reason for refusal of the applications on the 14th of November was that there was not relevant certification in relation to water sampling, as these premises are they're country premises. They're supplied by a private water supply and have indeed been supplied by that, I think, for over 100 years. And again, I would point out that the committee hearing on the 14th of November was the last committee hearing at which you could determine this application without it becoming a deemed consent. So if you like, it was the last real opportunity for the matter to be considered. Now, prior to the hearing on the 14th of November, my client had had a discussion with a representative from Environmental Health. The understanding was that in regard to these 3 properties, there was a general consensus that the supply was a good supply. There are other cottages on the estate, and one in particular, there was an issue with the supply, and it was understood that some work would require to be done in respect of that cottage. But I would stress that cottage does not form part of my submission today. My client thought that as a consequence of that discussion, if you like, all of the boxes had been ticked in relation to verification of the purity of supply for the 3 application cottages, and as a result did not attend the committee hearing on the 14th in that belief. And I would add, no disrespect to the committee was intended by non-attendance. It was simply mistakenly thought that the application would be in a position to be approved by committee with that understanding regarding the water supply having been reached. In the event, of course, Your Honours were waiting for formal certification from an independent person who would inspect and certify the supply. And in many respects, Your Honours' hands were tied on the 14th of November, and in reality there was probably little alternative for Your Honours to take the decision that you took. Had it been earlier in the application process, then of course Your Honours could have continued the case to a further committee to allow that mistaken belief to be rectified. The change in circumstances that now exists is that Environmental Health themselves have had the supply for these 3 cottages inspected and certified by Scottish Water on the 17th of January of this year, and my client has also engaged independent contractors who themselves have certified the water supply for each of these properties as pure and suitable for consumption. So the material change is that what was missing and led to Your Honour's refusal of the application is now available. It is a change in circumstances, and I would submit it's patent that it is material, because of course it's a matter that caused Your Honours to refuse the application at an earlier date. Applications are in the course of preparation, and I would seek Your Honour's approval to submit these as quickly as we can, and that would be within the 1-year period. There is no prejudice, I would submit, to any party. These cottages are situated on my client's estate. There were no objections to the applications from any neighbours or any member of the public. The properties have been used as holiday lets for many years. And as I say, we are now ready to go. And just if I can perhaps offer some words of comfort in relation to the other property, which I would again remind you is not the subject of this application. The issue regarding the water supply there has been attended to, and that property is the subject of a separate application which is still in the process, and that is a box that can be ticked in relation to that application. So I think this is as I say, you don't come across these applications very much, but this is a deserving application, and I would ask Your Honours to approve the application.
Thank you very much for that. Can I maybe just check with Environmental Health whether we are happy with all of the work that's been carried out?
Thank you, Convener. Yes, the properties in question are supplied by a private water supply, and regulated properties require to undergo annual compliance sampling, of which we undertake and submit to the lab in Scottish Water. This has been a requirement since 2017. We have had repeated lead failures at the properties in question, and most recently carried out further sampling on the 17th of January, and again further resampling on the 5th of March. I can confirm the properties Croft End, Clay Pots and Glen Isle in question have subsequently passed the lead sampling on those occasions, most recently just 5th of March this year. Lead failures tend to be related to the infrastructure of the supply, and that we would recommend that the ongoing maintenance and upkeep of the water supply and ongoing treatment is a top priority, given the potential other risks associated with private water supplies.
Thank you very much. I'll open up to questions from members. I have Councillor Braes first.
Yes, thanks, Convener. Will our environmental health team be doing routine checks on the properties concerned, just to make sure that they keep meeting the lead levels requirement? I'm wondering if pipes, etc., have been taken out and replaced, and that's why they now meet the standard, or whether it's just they met the standard on the day they were checked. Could you give me a wee bit of guidance on that, please?
Louise?
Yeah, so private water supplies in regulated manner will be checked annually. Not all properties on the supply will undergo that sampling. A variety will be selected. And in general terms, it is the removal of lead pipes and fittings that then lead to the sample then passing. So it wouldn't be an ongoing concern if we've seen compliance, and I understand works have been undertaken, but perhaps the applicant can detail that more.
If I could come in and just confirm that with regard to these 3 properties, there is no lead in these supplies. Each property gets a supply from the spring. One property, and they take individual supplies. They don't go in a stream, as it were. There is one property, Brewlands Lodge, which there was an issue, and we have identified a small piece of lead pipe which has been removed, and that should attend to that property. But the other properties, as I understand, have generally always passed their test.
Louise, do you want to come back on any of that? Or?
Yeah, I would agree. It's Brewlands Lodge that remains outstanding.
Are there any other questions from members? Any comments? With that then, I mean, we are deciding today whether there's actually been a material change of circumstance. I would suggest that listening to that, I think we would possibly agree that there has been a material change of circumstance. I mean, what we were faced with at the last meeting in November clearly isn't the case now. So with that, I would ask for motions, and I see that Councillor Fotheringham has a...
Yes, thank you, Convener. I agree with what you're saying. What Mr Glass has said, there certainly has been a material change in circumstances, and I would move that we agree with this application. Thank you.
Councillor Nicholl?
I would second that. Second that, no problem.
Anyone want an amendment to that? No? I think with that then we're unanimous that there has been a relevant change of circumstance, which would leave it an application.
Thank you, Your Honours, and thank you for giving me the time.
That takes us on to item 8, a renewal application, page 19 in our papers. And I believe we have Hayley Wilkes remotely to talk to her application. Hayley, would you like to talk to the committee?
Hi, yeah, thanks so much, everybody. Sorry I can't be there in person, the van's off the road. Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm a little bit confused. And we've had the licence for a year with no bother, and the objection is based on like the road and it being unsafe and busy, and it's bad for pedestrians and dog walkers. I don't know if there's been some confusion, because obviously we're called We Cook. We're not actually on the main road. We're on a little side street called Dewar Place, and it's a cul-de-sac with other businesses that we get on well with. And during daytime, that street is busy. Everyone's busy with all the kind of cars that come and go, the staff and that kind of thing. But there's no kind of pedestrian dog walking on that street. So I'm wondering if the objection is because our We Cook has been confused with the kiosk around the corner, which is the We Kitchen. That is actually on the main road where the lorries pass and the dog walkers go, and it's actually on the pavement. So it's just across from the T-junction by Reekie Steel. So I don't know if there's a confusion of that, or, you know, I can't see how it is dangerous. You know, and I don't really know what to kind of say to do that. We really would love to have the license renewed, because we have our little street food trailer, which isn't in competition with the one around the corner. We want to pop-ups, and we've done some successful ones like that. And when it rains or markets get called off, to have somewhere that we can, you know, use visually for people to come and collect pies if we can't sell them at markets because of the weather, which is quite a common thing in the winter, then that's really what we want it for. You know, we want to be enterprising, try new things, and also training like our staff up on the food trailer. We've got some like private pitches and events that we're going to over the summer, like the Highland Games at Glams and one of the strawberry farms. But, you know, having it outside the unit on our own car parking patches is, you know, something that's going to be really helpful and beneficial. And it's not really intrusive to anyone else's business. When we roll it out, it's usually when, you know, the weekends, when the street is dead and it's quiet, you know, we just kind of plug it in and that's it. So hopefully I can answer any other questions if there's any other concerns. So.
Thank you for that, Hayley. We do have a letter of objection which people will have read. We don't have the objector to ask any questions of, so we'll open up to questions from members, and I have Councillor Durno.
Yeah, that's convenient. Thanks, Hayley, for coming today. I am familiar with the area because I live round the corner. And I do know that it is a very congested street, because obviously the garage is there and everybody's leaving their cars to get fixed, and sometimes they're there for a long time. The question I've got for yourself is your facility not big enough for you to sell off the actual unit? Is this why you have to have a caravan outside? And also other question is, why do you have on the license that you want it on a Sunday? Is this for the outside events? Because it sort of looks like you're going to be opening on the industrial estate on a Sunday, and obviously there's nobody there. So I think it's just tightening up the application a wee bit for the members to understand what the plan of action is. Thank you.
Yeah, well, the main thing is it's an industrial unit. It's not somewhere that's, you know, kind of like, you know, welcoming as a kind of retail shop and stuff like that. So the food truck, really, we want to be able to kind of showcase it so that we can promote that, you know, to go to, I don't know, private events, weddings, or different festivals and farmers markets. But it's visually somewhere we can actually be selling our pies from, or our kind of street food that we want to train. And it's just going to be on certain events. So, for example, if we did I don't know, I'm trying to think, like a K-pop one is what we got this weekend for Mother's Day. So people can actually collect it from there and just go. But that's when the street's dead. You know, there's no one else in there. Because I know what you're saying about the cars. You know, we got on really well with our neighbours, you know, the garage over the road, the golf place, and the valley, and they're busy, you know, and you know, we let them park on our little street. So we don't really plan things for when we know it's going to be busy. We apply that level of I don't know, I would say common sense. I don't have much common sense. I'm always a bit crazy, but you know, we do kind of apply that. You know, we're conscious and mindful of when it's going to be busy. So we don't want to encourage people, you know, to do that. But I think visually, it's to have that, and it's not a caravan. It's a little kind of, you know, converted horse box, little black one with a little cone on it. And it's part of our brand, and we just think it'd be somewhere nice for people to come to. We're taking inspiration probably from, I don't know if you know KJ's Bothy in Granton-on-Spey. They used to have the Mountain Cafe, and you know, we're trying to do something similar and kind of grow and collaborate with other businesses and maybe do different things. So there's things that we haven't even planned yet, but you know, it'd be nice to be able to do things on the little food trailer, you know, outside the unit for people to come and see and purchase things from us, rather than coming into the industrial unit, which just looks a bit industrial, and you know, it's a bit kind of barren, you know, when you kind of come into an industrial unit. So it's more of a shop front, I think, to have it outside.
Okay. Could I come back just a wee bit, convener, on that
yes.
point? Why can't you put your nice horse box? Why can't you put it across the road where that big barren area is, that there's nothing there?
Well, that's where the you've got the wee kitchen. So that used to be Sim's Snacks, and then that got taken over by the wee kitchen, and we put in an objection to that because I didn't realise how close it was. I thought it was too close.
Yeah.
And also the name, because it's a lot of customers go there. So I think there's planning permission or something. We had a letter that something in that barren bit there is going to be battery thing, or
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm just thinking you'd get more space if you moved it about a bit rather than being where you are. But obviously, it's up to yourself. I just think there is more spaces, and obviously, we have got the other units that sell food, and they're doing really well. You know, the pie bobs and things. It's good that the industrial estate is being, you know, utilised. But I just think you maybe, you know, should see maybe about another space in that area. I don't think you're in competition with the other van because you're completely different. But
I think is it the lady that owned the van that's put the objection in? I'm not sure. Is that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure either. But
sorry, can I maybe come in? I think suggestions about whether it should move and so on are fine, but it's not what we are determining today. So if I can maybe move on, we have Councillor Braze.
Yes, thanks, Convener. I did have a question for the applicant, but it's been largely answered. I do have a question for officers, however, when you're ready to move on to that.
That's fine now, just do it now.
Right. Well, there is an objection to this, and the objection is basically solely focused on traffic congestion, etc., round about the premises applied for a renewal. I notice in the papers there's no comment from our roads department, and I just wondered about what's the process for this? Have the roads department seen this objection or not? Have they seen this renewal application and the objection and been consulted on it? Thanks.
Thank you. We'll just ask that question.
It's certainly part of our process that roads are consulted with respect to a fixed pitch application such as this one. Is Tracy on the line? Tracy may be able to confirm that they were indeed consulted as per usual.
Tracy?
Hi. Yes, it is by consultation that roads are consulted with these applications. So yes, they were.
And so since roads haven't made any comment whatsoever, are we able to assume that they are satisfied?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for that. We'll move now to Councillor Stewart.
Yeah, Councillor Braze has pretty much asked the same question as what I was going to ask there. Looking at the application, it says that it's a renewal. So can we just clarify here? It's a renewal like for like as what the applicant has had for the last year. So we're only, you know, being asked to approve a renewal here. And if there obviously isn't any, well, if there hasn't been any concerns raised, you know, by our roads department, I mean, I don't have any issues with it. But can we just clarify that, because obviously I wasn't on the committee when this was initially granted.
Yes, if there was any change from the current licence, any material change to the current licence, they would require to submit a variation application. Now, I'm not aware of that, but again, I wonder if committees, if Tracy's able to clarify that there hasn't been a variation in respect of this application.
Sorry, no, there hasn't been a variation lodged in respect of this one.
Thank you very much for that. We'll move now to Councillor Nicholl.
Thank you very much, Convener. It appears to be the same complaint coming in as it was the last time we passed this, and it's just a renewal of the objection.
Thank you for that. Are there any further comments before I move to recommendations? Councillor Gregg.
Thank you, Convener. As others have said, this is a renewal application, and it was granted last time. Other than the exact same objection that's come in, there have been no objections from roads, police, or anyone else. So I'm quite happy to renew it, quite frankly.
Councillor Scott?
I was actually just going to go say exactly the same. I can see no issue with this, and it is a renewal like for like. So if you're putting forward a motion, I'll happily second.
A bit early.
Oh, is it? Sorry.
Yeah, a little bit early. but thank you. We'll move to Councillor Fotheringham.
Thank you, Convener.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. No, just like my colleagues have said, that the online colleagues and the ones in the chamber, you know, we've got one objection here, and to be quite honest, there's nothing from police, there's nothing from roads, and Haley's little van is not causing all this congestion. It's an industrial area, and you're going to get traffic, so I'm quite happy to support this renewal. Thank you.
Thank you. I think with that, I'll move to the recommendations. And the recommendations are 1, to renew the application, 2, to renew the application subject to standard and or any additional conditions, 3, to defer the application for a period of not exceeding 6 months from the date of the application, or 4, to refuse the application on one or more of the grounds referred to in paragraph 5. And if I go to Councillor Scott,
I move to renew the application.
and do you have a seconder? Councillor Gregg? Anyone else? No, I think with that we have a unanimous decision to renew the application. Thank you. And thank you, Haley.
That means a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That takes us on to item 9, a new application for house and multiple occupation. And I have that as page 24 on your papers.
Hi.
And it's, it's 2 John Street, Montrose, and we have Stephen McAvenny, who is online. Is that correct?
Yes. Hi. Thank you very much for that, and apologies I'm not there in person. I purchased this property, and I've taken it from. I've done considerable work on it to bring it up to HMO standards. It was a guest house with considerable problems in it, and I've spent a considerable amount of money on it. I have completed the certificate of compliance, building standards. I spoke this morning to the building standards officer, and I believe he spoke to his team leader. I think is it a Mrs. Lee, Tom? All that work has been completed. All the fire risk assessments have been done and been signed off. All the emergency lighting and every single piece of compliance. This property is going to be used for MOD personnel to stay in, and the difficulty I've got is that if this is extended any further, then the MOD are going to go back and look at somewhere else, and I just have an empty house that I can do nothing with. I did receive the paperwork on the 11th of February. I sent it back on the 25th of February, but unfortunately the Angus Council website blocked the files because they were too large, but no one informed me until a couple of days ago, which I sent them then individually. I look if you could approve this HMO, please.
Thank you very much for that. Can I maybe just check with, is it Lee? Are we happy with all of this now, the certificate of compliance and so on?
Yes, thank you, convener, and good morning, everyone. Yeah, as the applicant has suggested, we are now absolutely happy with all the outstanding points, so we've got no further comment to make.
Thank you very much. I'll move then with that to any questions from members. Are there any questions? No questions. Any comments? No comments. Then we'll move to the recommendations, and the recommendations are 1, to grant the application subject to standard conditions, 2, grant the application subject to standard and additional conditions, or 3, refuse the application on one or more of the grounds referred to in paragraph 5. I will now ask for motions. Councillor Fotheringham.
Thank you, convener. Yes, I move that we grant this application subject to the standard conditions. Mrs. Tom's department's quite happy and said that there's no further comment to make, so this is straightforward for me. Thank you.
And Councillor Stewart.
Yeah, I'm happy to second that, convener.
Any amendments to that? No. With that, then, I think it's unanimous that we agree that the application be granted.
Fantastic. I really appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move now to item 10, page 28 on the papers. This is request for delegated authority to grant holiday, touring and migrant worker sites under the Caravan Sites and Control of Development Act 1960. And to talk to this, I believe we have Louise Mann. Louise?
Thank you, Convener. Yes, we bring this report before you today seeking delegated authority to approve holiday, touring and migrant worker caravan site licences. Although also under the Caravan and Control of Development Act 1960, the Housing Scotland Act introduced a new licence process for residential caravan site licences, and those are not subject of this request today. The request is for delegated authority to be given to the Director to approve these licences, of which we'll see from the report there were 3 such licences in the previous year. There are no fees involved with these licences, nor is there any fit and proper person test, for example, as there is for the residential caravan site licences. So it's to make best use of our available resources and to allow, where they're suitable for approval, delegated authority to be given. But please, happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. I think we'll recall that we have had a couple of them in the past year. They are different in a sense in that I can't remember if you could actually object against them or something, but I knew there was no fee, and there's a few other things which there's no real say over. So they are fairly, dare I say it, fairly straightforward as far as we are concerned. But with that, I'll open up to questions from members. Are there any questions? Councillor Breeze.
Yes, I just would like to ask Louise, well, if we do agree to delegate powers over this, do you feel this will result in a speedier turnaround of applications, renewals, etc.?
Thank you, Councillor. That would be a positive outcome of seeking delegated authority for this process.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Gregg.
All right, thank you, Convener. Just a question, why this is being done? I'm always concerned about when we're asked to delegate authority away, because we were elected by the public to make decisions. And nearly every council report and committee report, and somewhere there's a delegation of further powers, which I think erodes the authority of the elected members. So I just question why this has come now, and if it's to speed things up, why was it not done several years ago?
Thank you, Councillor Gregg. It's taken experience from previous local authorities. I'm reasonably new in post, and I've identified it as something that I would like to ask the committee their opinion on.
I think I would, in normal circumstances, I would be agreeing with Councillor Gregg in that to erode, if you like, the authority of a committee isn't always the best thing to do. However, I think on balance, given the number that we get of these, and if you like, the power we have in them, the simplicity of them, and the time constraints, I don't think this is a big ask. Personally, I don't think it's a big ask from committee. If it can streamline at all the process, then it's something I think could well be useful. Any other questions? Any comments? Councillor Gregg.
Thank you, Convener. As I previously mentioned in my question, I'm really concerned about the erosion of control from us as elected members, I think perhaps the rest of the committee would be minded to agree the recommendations, and if that were to be the case, then I'd like my dissent to be noted within the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Brays.
Yes, I totally take on board Councillor Gregg's concerns. We were indeed elected in order to make decisions. But I don't really have a problem with this particular delegation because our officers are compelled, required by law, to work within the legislation set, and they're not going to be delegating. They're not going to be granting licenses to people who are operating out with the legislation, standards, policy, etc. And I do feel that there is considerable benefit in being able to speed up the turnaround of applications so that when someone applies, particularly perhaps for a new site, the whole process can be speeded up. They can get their license quicker and they can get trading quicker, which is of great benefit to Angus's economy and to the people of Angus.
Thank you for that. We'll move to Councillor Nicholl.
Thank you, Convener. The civic licence meet pretty regular, and I don't see any benefit in delegating it over when it comes on a regular basis to us, and we could still have our say in the matter. Thank you.
Thank you for that. With that, I'll move to the recommendations, and they are as follows. 1. Amend the scheme of delegation to permit specific delegated authority for the Director of Vibrant Communities and Sustainable Growth to approve holiday caravan site licences. 2. Amend the scheme of delegation to permit specific delegated authority to the Director of Vibrant Communities and Sustainable Growth to approve touring caravan site licences. And 3. Amend the scheme of delegation to permit specific delegated authority for the Director of Vibrant Communities and Sustainable Growth to approve temporary migrant worker caravan site licences. I'll now ask for motions. Councillor Scott. Page 28.
Okay. Microphone. I move that we agree to amend the scheme of delegation to permit as is.
Assuming that's all 3?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a seconder? Councillor Brays.
Yes, well, I would second that motion to go with the recommendations as written.
Thank you very much. Any amendments to that? No amendments? Okay. With that, I take it's unanimous that we agree all 3 of the recommendations. Thank you very much. We move on then, next item 11, but we will stop the live stream for consideration of item 11.
Hi John, can you stop the live stream?